Well, one of our core practices is sharing Christ. This is Layla. She is one of our high school students, and I'm excited for you to hear from her, just to talk through what it's looked like for you to share Christ. This is something that you've said that you've been growing in over the last year. And what I want to open with is this idea of prayer and how you've been able to pray with students at school, but also share a bit of your story at school. Kind of walk us through what that looked like.
So my freshman year, I grew up in Catholic school my whole life, and so going into public school was such a big change for me, and I was always wondering, like, okay, how am I going to find Jesus? And slowly and then quickly, I learned that you might be the only Jesus somebody sees that day, and so I went into my school, which is called Vanguard, and I speak very highly of it because that is my testimony. The program I'm in, for me, doesn't feel necessarily just like going to school. It feels like a mission. We're called to be problem-focused, which simply means going out and solving problems within our community. And some of that deals with churches, and that's where I feel most connected. And so sharing Christ through that journey has been a big part of my life because I know what it's like to walk and live without him. And so I wanted people to be able to feel and express that the way I can.
And I saw a picture that was shared of you with a circle of your peers at the school for a prayer time. And you got to share a little bit of your testimony in that.
Yeah, so me and my best friends, the one I actually baptized, her name's Kinsley, we saw that we had a FCA, and so we're a branch off the high school, but we wanted something of our own, something that was student-led. And so we saw that every Friday we do a thing called Club Fridays, but there was something missing. And so we thought we could start a Jesus club, but we actually now call it Fellowship Club. But to me, it's like a Jesus Freaks Club. So that's what I know it as. And we decided to get together and pray. And I had this teacher who came up to me and he goes, "Do you mind praying for the hurricane?" And I was like, "I'd love to." And I only have him for one class, and he brought us in. He goes, "You lead it." And I led it, and I came up with a whole, almost like a message. And I brought at least 100 and something kids around. And I was expecting maybe 10. And all of these kids sat around and prayed. And there were kids who never experienced Jesus before. And they asked me questions, and they said, "How can I know more?" And they started to join my club just because they were curious.
That's so cool. And you mentioned Kinsley
Yes.
and her baptism, but let's back up. You mentioned that you have been praying for her for how long?
So I met Kinsley my 8th grade going into my freshman year, and we weren't that close. But towards the middle of freshman year, I could see something in her that I was like, this is going to be my best friend. Like, I just knew. She's my lake buddy. She's like my everything to me. And so I have this big group of girls, and she's one of those girls. And I felt something that she knew of Jesus. She just didn't know him. And she knew about religion, but she didn't know about relationship. And I felt it. And from freshman year, I just started praying with her and for her. And a few months ago, she actually was thinking about it, but she wanted to fully understand it. And then we started coming to court, and she felt it. And so now when I go to school, I'm not the only one showing Jesus. I mean, she's showing it too. And so to have that group of people to do that with has always been something I've been praying for, is to have that community. And she's just one of those great people I get to do it with.
So you've been praying for her for over 2 years.
Yes.
And it kind of culminated to last week when, you tell us what happened.
So last week, my very best friend, my now sister in Christ, decided that she wanted to take that next step. And that was the thing I was praying for, is mainly she'd feel it in her heart. Because for me, baptism is also a symbol. And I felt like she needed that. And I wanted her to feel that freedom. And I was Christmas was coming and all these things, but the biggest gift was getting to put her in that water and pull her right back out. And I told her, what's in that water stays in that water, and when you come out, you're new.
Yeah.
And you leave it in there, you leave it in the water. And I felt that with her. And honestly, that was freeing for me to know that she was freed from things.
Yeah.
And that was just, oh my goodness. That just makes me cry thinking about it.
Well, you could see your excitement. I mean, when she came out of the water, you grabbed her and were shaking her, and you were like, yes, just cheering for her. And that was a moment for all of us to celebrate.
Yep.
It's so encouraging to hear your story, and I'm excited to see what God continues to do. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah.